Welcome in, everyone. This is the emergency live stream. We had some big news today, so we decided to go live. Gave a short video out earlier, but now we'll get the whole gang's thought as Tony Stewart and Stewart-Haas decide that, well, they're going to take their business ventures somewhere else. Pretty much what they've been doing for the last few months, and all four charters are for sale because Stewart-Haas Racing will cease to exist at the end of the year. And we actually have exclusive footage of when Tony Stewart decided to tell his employees and how the employees reacted.
It's happening. Everybody stay calm.
What's the procedure, everyone? What's the procedure?
Stay calm.
Wait.
Everybody calm down.
Probably what happened.
I sent you guys. I think Tony Stewart walked in, and half the people at Stewart-Haas go, "Who the fuck is that guy?" So I gave my opinion on, briefly gave my opinion on it, but Travis, I'll kick it over to you and whatever that is, and see what your initial thoughts on the worst kept secret in NASCAR finally come to fruition.
I think you just said it, the worst kept secret. I think, the only secret that wasn't about it was how many they were going to sell. Were they going to sell 2? Were they going to sell 1? Were they going to sell 4? I was looking at, what were we going to do? So it was, like you said, it was worst kept secret. When it finally was official, the only thing that I was worried about was if they were going to sell 2 or were they going to sell 4. Obviously, the post he made was a little. I think he wanted people to feel sorry. I don't know. That's how I kind of felt like he wanted people to feel sorry. I think it was essentially just trying to get a cover up where the last 3 or 4, ever since it feels like COVID, he's just kind of been non-existent in a way. So, which is sad. I think Kevin Harvick made a great point 2 weeks at North Wilkesboro when he literally said it was weird to see my boss, not once but twice 1 week. So it was kind of like a tells you how it is.
It was a dig. But I mean, it's like we said, it's been kind of what we've been saying all along. And this is the official tweet that did come out. A joint statement from Tony Stewart and Stewart-Haas. We have made the difficult decision to close Stewart-Haas Racing at the conclusion of the 2024 season. It is a decision that did not come easily, nor was it made quickly, just probably months ago. Racing is labor-intensive. Humbling sport requires unwavering commitment and vast resources with a 365-day mindset to be better than everyone else. It's part of what makes success so rewarding. But the commitment need to extract maximum performance while providing sustainability is incredibly demanding, and we've reached a point in our respective personal and business lives where it's time to pass the torch. I think that's the key. We're proud of all the wins and championships we've earned since joining in 2009, but even more special is the culture we built and friendships forged as we committed to a common cause with winning races and collecting trophies. That is the same commitment we made to our personnel, our partners, and our fans coming into this year, and that commitment will remain until Phoenix. We have tremendous respect and appreciation for all our employees, and we will work diligently to assist them during this transition to find newer opportunities beyond the 2024 racing season. Joe, what do you make of that?
I think that this is I believe it, and I believe what Travis just said is I don't think it was a decision that was made in haste. I think it did take some time. I think there were some things on the table. Obviously, Haas and Stewart I think that they have butted heads, and I think that they put it all on the table and decided to cease operations. I don't know that Haas's heart has been in NASCAR for a long time, and obviously Stewart's isn't. So, they got ventures elsewhere, and I think that that's what they're going to focus on. And the battles that Tony Stewart has had publicly with his disagreements with NASCAR have not been a secret over the last several years either. From hiring drivers that or not being able to hire who he wants to hire and not being able to put on the track what he wants to put on the track. And I think that at this point, I think Tony Stewart's pretty much washed his hands of NASCAR, and I think that he had made that decision before going into this year. And I think Haas really leaned on Stewart to run the NASCAR operation at this point, and since he doesn't have that support, there's no point in going forward. That's what I believe happened.
Yeah. I've always viewed Gene Haas as he's like the he's like the Shark Tank guy. And I think
Right.
Tony Stewart, proposed the deal. Stewart-Haas, Gene Haas was like, yeah, I'll fund you, blah, 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 for you to do this business venture. But then when it came down to actually making the moves, I agree with you, Joe. The biggest thing that we have publicly now heard is that he wanted to hire Kyle Larson, and that was vetoed. Now,
Ford.
Yeah, it was vetoed by Ford. Okay. So, I don't know. It seems like that snowball effect happened, and then the next gen car happens, and then Kevin Harvick happens, and it just seemed like then Tony Stewart found a woman, and we know, that changes your life because people that used to do certain things now they're what they value in life, what they do on a daily basis, it changes. Is that all, Joe? Like just the perfect culmination to say now I'm out, or do you think it was the Kyle Larson thing and it was just kind of running through the motions after that?
I think we all race or watch Tony Stewart race for 20 years. We know his personality. I'm sorry, I know my internet just cut out. I think we all watch Tony Stewart race for 20 years. We've seen him in this sport. We know his personality.
You're good. We got you.
Okay. And I think at the end of the day, if you tell Tony Stewart what he can and can't do, his heart's not going to be in it. I mean, we saw that with, the Tony Stewart is going to do what Tony Stewart wants to do. And if he can't do what he wants to do, he's not going to put the effort in. We saw that with Eldora. We've seen this now with NASCAR. We've seen it on the track when he was racing. And I'm not condemning Tony Stewart. I was a fan for a long time of Tony Stewart. He's an Indiana boy, and I'll always be a fan of Tony Stewart. But you got to understand that guy's personality, in my opinion. And when he can't make the decisions he wants to make and do what he wants to do when he wants to do it, he's just not going to do it because that's how he is and that's how he races. So I don't know why we expect anything less.
Travis, I made the comment that I thought NASCAR was worse off when somebody like Tony Stewart's not in it. Do you agree or disagree?
I feel like he hadn't even been in it. If we're going to be just blatantly honest, when do you ever just like we talk about Tony Stewart and some of the funny things he's done where he like tried to fight. He said he was going to bust Joey Logano's ass at Auto Club, and then you said stuff about we should drive all the cars backwards at Talladega and stuff like that. I think ever since he's kind of just retired, I don't, you hear about him here and there when he made the Ford announcement back in, 2018 that they were going to Ford. You heard about that, but like, what has he done after that? When do you hear Tony at the track? Not really. Stuff like that. Will he be missed? Yeah, I think you look at he's been in the sport since what, what was that?
Probably 2003.
I think 2002. 2002 was rookie year. So you look at something like that and you go, like
he's one of the few rookies to ever win a race. I know that's one of the stats.
Well, he won. What do you win? No, I think he was rookie in 2000, and then he won a championship in 2002, 2005, and 2011. But other than that, like I said, it's just you don't hear about it. But it's like the opposite. You look at Jeff Gordon. Like you feel like every other week they're talking about Jeff Gordon this or Jeff Andrews is doing this and Jeff Gordon and Rick Hendrick and they're here or this and that. You talk about some of the other owners like Justin Marks, like always there. Talk about Joe Gibbs. They always show Joe Gibbs at least once a race that he's got the 4 main logos on his shirt. He's sitting up there. I mean, think about some of the other owners. I just see Tony Stewart as someone that has not been there, and I feel like he's kind of almost. Is it right to say forgotten to a certain degree? I mean,
I wouldn't say forgotten, but I think going to Joe's point that if your name's on the side of the building and you're not allowed to make executive decisions, then what are you doing?
Yep.
Like that I think that to me, if you're put in a position to where you're putting effort into this, and obviously we know Tony Stewart knows how to win a championship, what it takes to form a really, really good team. They were very, very competitive. I mean, I think I think a lot of people will view the non-Kevin Harvick championship when he had 10 wins as one of the biggest travesties in the sport. Literally, people were calling for the abolishment of what it is to be a champion after that. So I think it's like all those things culminated. Kevin Harvick didn't win a championship. They then didn't get to get Kyle Larson. It just seemed like NASCAR, or the things that were around Tony Stewart that he could control, either somebody was pushing back and he couldn't do those things. And like Joe said, he threw his hands up in the air and said, F it. I'm going to go buy, the racing tour that he sold, which now is High Limit Racing from, Tony Stewart, and then All-Star Racing, I think is what it was called, or something like that. Yeah, it seems like the sport pushed him away, and instead of trying to fight to gain it back, he said, no, I'm out. So I kind of look at it both ways, but at the same time, when your name is on the side of the building, I feel like you got to be present at some point, and I think it's a necessary day. I don't think Gene Haas has ever been in it. I think Gene Haas has been focused on Formula One since the very beginning. I don't think he has any care in the world to win, but I don't know. The sport, it's not like basketball, baseball, football. Like once they're done, yeah, they may join ESPN and say some stupid shit that I get to hear Kendrick Perkins talk about and then turn off. But when these guys stay in the sport, like if they don't, I feel like it always hurts the NASCAR brand, because like Carl Edwards, I think a lot of people are kind of still sour grapes over Carl Edwards that, he left early, then just completely has nothing to do with NASCAR. And then when you kind of look at the stats, it's like, oh, now he's in the Hall of Fame? Like, it just seems like that distaste in your mouth when it comes to somebody like that, but it feels like Tony Stewart did a lot more. Maybe I'm off key, but
no,
I think Joe brought up a really good point. It's almost like, how many times do I got to get told, no, my freaking name is not just on the side of the building, it's first, and I don't get to do what I want. I mean, how do you run a business if that's the case?
Well, and I think also, look at, and obviously I have no idea what's going on in Tony Stewart's life, but obviously his head is not where it was 5, 6, 7 years ago, because we had SRX, right? We had Eldora, we had the High Limit, whatever, he was All-Star Racing, whatever, the Dirt Track Series. We had, I don't know, 4 or 5 business ventures out of him in the last 5 or so years, and none of them exist now except drag racing. So I think maybe he's just not to act like I know what I'm talking about, but it's almost like a kid with ADD. It's like bright and shiny, let's do this, let's go all at it, and then when I get bored of it, I'm out. It's kind of reminiscent of that a little bit. I don't know.
Yeah, I think you just look at it this way. When did the fall off start happening? When he started this in 2009, came out of the gates pretty strong. Then he won the championship in 2011, and then you look at they started getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And I think you start looking at some of that stuff, and they go, "Holy crap!" Then all of a sudden you felt like you saw a Haas CNC car a lot. Then they started this Xfinity team, and then I felt like you saw Haas CNC even more. And I think you just see the money build up into it. And they probably saw the dollar signs too. Like if BJ McLeod can get $30 million for his, man, ours got to be worth at least like 35 or 40 million times 4. That's $160 million that we're going to just pocket. That's probably more than they've probably invested essentially into stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So
see, Travis, the only disagreement I have with that is with Gene Haas, then he wouldn't have a Formula One team because his Formula One team is ass. It continues to be ass. It will always be ass because they have to spend 100 times more to be competitive in that. And they don't mind being ass with Haas CNC on the side of their Formula One car. So
that's true.
That's only to me, Gene Haas's pockets don't stop. This is just to me like, I'm going to throw a little bit of pennies here. People get to see my brand. It is what it is. If I break even, if I don't, I'll write it off on my taxes. It is what it is. But the opportunity to be competitive in NASCAR, is infinitely easier than what it is to be competitive at Formula One. But for whatever reason, there's something that's coming with Formula One that, whether it's brand recognition on a global stage that is more important to him, I don't know. But but at the same time, you guys talk about Eldora. I mean, wasn't the Eldora beef with NASCAR that they didn't want to put a cup race there, and they decided to go to Bristol instead? And again, he gets not screwed, but I think a lot of people would have rather seen a dirt race on cup cars at Eldora than Bristol, right?
I don't think. I think he's the one. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. With Eldora, NASCAR had put stipulations on how they were going to race or the format that they were going to race in. And he said, no, we're going to do it my way or you're not coming back. He's the one that kicked NASCAR out of Eldora. So, and
you would know that more than me, Joe. So I'm going to leave it to you on that.
That's true to Tony Stewart form. It's like my way or the highway. And, and if you're not going to do it my way, then you're not coming here.
Yeah, I think you look at it too. I think part of that with Eldora was I don't remember exactly, but Tony told him NASCAR's like, hey, I want to run on these couple dates. And they were like, okay, like, give me a second. Let me look at my calendar. And all of a sudden, like he said, they posted the schedule come out with Knoxville. And he was like, I told you I was going to come back to dates. Like, they didn't even tell me they weren't coming back to Eldora. They told me to give me a couple dates. So I think, like you said, that left him sour taste. I think him not getting Larson left him a sour taste. I think him having to sign some people that didn't have money affected some of that. He wanted racers. I think he had to rebrand this year with the new logos and stuff. They're like, all right, this is our last ditch, like saying like, hey, we're here to race. We're here. It's been kind of is dud the right word? I don't know. So it's one of those things where I think it's just been it's a little bitty ball, and then it's just going to keep steamrolling down the hill. And then eventually he just gets to the point that it's, hey, I think it's just time to sell. We're not invested. I think Tony Stewart's smart. And I mean this by saying he knows when it's like, all right, like I'm going to make myself a bad name if we don't sell or we don't just start dominating, right? SHR was known as this top tier team. And then remember we started talking last year, like, man, they're like a C team. Like they're not even above average. Like they're might be below average. And I think Tony Stewart heard a lot of that, not from us, but from the people. And, he doesn't want to be known as that, right? He's always going to be known as the person that wants to drive top tier, and people want to come to his place because they're going to be top tier. And then, I don't know, think about their last wins, right? Think about the last wins. They had Kevin Harvick win 2 races in 2022. 2021, they had 1 win with Eric Almirola with a shortened race in New Hampshire. And then one of their, few wins. Well, I guess they had 10 wins with Harvick in 2020. But think about
Chase won at Phoenix.
Do what?
Chase
Briscoe didn't win in 2022. You're right. And then you got, Cole Custer winning in 2020 at Kentucky. I mean, I don't know. I feel like we just slowly just trickle downhill, and it's been very unfortunate.
Well, to be fair, too, when it came to SRX, which honestly, I'm more upset that disappeared than anything. SRX disappeared because Tony Stewart was told by television, hey, we want to see more stars on this. And Tony's like, no, I want local track legends here, which I thought was an amazing idea. I thought that was great to have that. And they're like, no, we want more big names. And he's like, that's not the idea I had for this. I wanted this to be a more local thing, a showcase of talent from all other types of aspects of racing. And again, Tony Stewart got told what to do, and it's not shocking.
He doesn't get told what to do.
Yeah.
I mean, they could have got Paul Tracy, and I think everyone would have been happy about that.
That's true. But. That's true. We all could have voted that some iRacer could have had an event, and that whoever won the iRacing event would have been better than Paul Tracy.
They could have replaced Paul Tracy.
Yeah. So hopefully Joe's able to jump back on. But I want to transition this into now I got the help wanted sign, and I got the 4 drivers for SHR. We had a brief discussion on this, but, list the importance, if you're a team owner right now, Travis, of the now 4 available drivers and how you would sign them.
Like who? Like rank them 1 through 4. Who I would sign?
Yes. And then we can discuss the possible landing spots from there.
I think the first one would be Noah Gragson. I think that's number 1. Number 2 would be Josh Berry, in my opinion. 3 would be Briscoe, and I think 4 you look at from a standpoint. Number 4 would be Priest. But here's the thing, in my opinion of it, I don't think Priest gets the same car or funding or whatever that might be that a Briscoe might get. You want to believe that Priest is a better driver, but
somebody's got to have the 4th ranked talent. I mean, that's just how it is. You got to have the 4th best car chief, the 4th best crew chief, the 4th best pit crew team, and it seems like the 41 car has had that for years.
Yeah, I think if I was assigned right now, I would say Gragson be 1, Berry 2, Priest 3, and Briscoe 4. Although Briscoe's an Indiana guy, I'm sorry, but I don't think you got the same talent as.
You think that Ryan Priest has more talent than Chase Briscoe?
I look at a standpoint of, I don't know.
Not the NASCAR standings. I mean, what are you basing it on?
If you're looking at bringing money to the table, definitely Briscoe's going to be more like 1 compared to everybody else on that.
No, Gregson's 1. Bass Pros with Gregson. I'm saying Gregson stays 1. And he just won the vote for the All-Star race. I still think that's huge too.
That's worth something. I would go Gregson 1, Berry 2. No, I'm gonna. Gosh.
You can. You can do what you want. I'm just here for the conversation of it.
No, I'll go Briscoe 3 and Priest 4, just for the sake of, if you look at kind of the driving stuff. I know that I still believe Priest does not get the same respect of talent like car ability than everybody else, but I'm probably still putting Briscoe 3.
If Ryan Priest was in Ricky Stenhouse's ride, would he do better?
He was at one point.
No, I mean, if he was in, that's a good point. If he was in the actual car, do you think that he would perform better than Ricky Stenhouse?
Well, he didn't. Ricky's won more races there than Priest ever did for those couple of years.
Right.
Looking at that, I think you look at Priest in an Xfinity car, and it's what you look back at too. You look at Priest, he ran 5 races a year and seemed like he won 3 of them every year in a Joe Gibbs car. He took out a second mortgage to race some of this stuff. You want to sit there and believe that Priest has got talent somewhere in there, right? I mean, he's just a hard-nosed dude, and he sticks up for himself, right? He doesn't put up for anything. I think that's part of his issue too. So I don't know. I sit here and think what would it be, and I think you even look at their Xfinity series. I still think Cole Custer's number 5 and Riley Herbst is number 6. I think it still goes in that order if you look at 6 of those drivers. I think Cole Custer and Riley Herbst are still their 2 worst drivers.
Yeah. I mean, I'd look at it this way, is that Kurt Busch got an opportunity to drive for Stewart-Haas in the 41 car and said, I'd rather drive the second best Chip Ganassi car. And worked out, because then he got to go to 2311 and have an opportunity to compete immediately. So that's kind of where I look at things too. Like, would you rather be the 4th best car on a higher team or the 2nd best car on a 2-car team? And Kurt Busch, who will go into the Hall of Fame one day, decided, no, I'd rather go run for Chip Ganassi and do it that way. So, I mean, that's the way I look at it. I think that Noah Gragson has completely turned around what we thought he was. Legacy Motor Club, it looks like that's where rookies go to die at this standpoint. John Hunter Nemechek has been terrible. I guess he's technically not a rookie. He's not a rookie, right? Because he was a rookie under. Yeah, he's a very inexperienced guy that's raced 3 years ago in Cup with Front Row. But I don't know. I think Noah Gragson, that to me, I don't know what you do. I don't know what you do if you're a team and you're looking and Noah Gregson's available. Who do you look at and go, that throws a wrench? That throws a wrench. We told old boy we'd sign him, but I didn't think Noah Gregson would be available. Like if you're a team out there, Travis, I mean, what's a realistic landing spot? Like, okay, let's just put it this way. If, man, I don't even know that's a good example because all the guys they have put back. Where's a good landing spot for Noah Gregson that makes sense?
Well, let's think about where these charters are going, right? So they're going to go to – the charters are going to go to 2311.
Being discussed right now is like realistic possibilities, yes.
Yeah, Trackhouse and then front row, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think Josh Berry's going to go to front row. I think Briscoe's going to probably Wood Brothers. You know, we can. This is another conversation. Noah Gregson's in the middle. He's drove a Chevy, he's drove a Toyota, and he's drove a Ford. So he has kind of experience in every single one of them. Where are the openings? I don't know. What openings are there? Right? Does he go drive? Does Denny Hamlin pick up Noah Gregson and pick up for the third car?
Let's have that combo. Let's say that's a possibility. If you're Denny Hamlin and you're like Noah Gregson, Corey Heim, what do you do?
Does RCR, pick that up? That's what I mean. Though I don't know where. I think Noah is in a tough spot. You know, does Hendrick,
the only way Noah goes to RCR is if they decide to put Austin Dillon in the front office.
I think, and here's my. And I seriously think I would not be shocked if Austin Dillon. I don't think it happens. But that would be a landing spot for Noah Gregson because of Bass Pro Shop.
Yep.
He has some of that other stuff connected. He does some of that stuff. I think he would be the landing spot for that. But at the same time, RCR loves Austin Hill, right? So
Probably he'll get suspended after tomorrow's news.
So where are we looking at? I think you look at I don't know. I just think Noah's in a really tough spot because he's going to be with 4 teams in 4 years. He was at Hendrick in 2022 for a handful of races.
Yep.
Last year he was with Legacy for part-time. Now he's got the Stewart-Haas and he's going to essentially be there, whatever. I don't, what are we looking at? He's going to be a 4th-year Cup guy and he's going to be in 4 different rides.
Right. But I think the 1 year, though, has shown us that this year has shown he can drive. Like, he was a highly rated prospect. A lot of people's 1-2. Like, it was Ty Gibbs and Noah Gregson. I don't think that was only 3 years ago. He then gets in a Legacy Motor Club ride and is terrible. Well, now hindsight is that Legacy Motor Club is terrible. So maybe it wasn't Noah Gregson. I think now with what he's done at Stewart-Haas, it just proves – okay, the talent's still there. That's all I needed to know is the talent's still there. So who am I replacing? Like, if I'm Trackhouse, I don't have enough people there. But if I'm Trackhouse, I'm taking Noah Gregson over Daniel Suarez. If I'm College Racing, I'm taking him over anybody that I have there. If I'm front row, I'm taking him over Josh Berry or whoever else that is the possibility that I could sign. If I'm there's just so many people that I'm taking him over, honestly, and this won't happen. I mean, if I'm 23-11, I look at him and go, Bubba Wallace has a chance to help us, but Noah Gregson has a chance to make us win. Yeah. And I think if put in that situation, this is an opportunity where I think some club is going to go, man, we love you, but we didn't think this was possible. And in 3 years ago, Travis, whenever he was at JR Motorsports and stuff and winning and having a chance to win championships, he wasn't a free agent. We all knew he was going to Chevy. So now he's a legit free agent.
I think and you got to look at the other stuff. Like if 2311 buys a charter, does Denny Hamlin go to 2311? Does
not with this year. I don't think with what he's doing this year.
I think he stays there. I think he retires at Joe Gibbs. Why? He'd be stupid too.
He would be
stupid too.
He would be stupid.
And I think you look at Joe Gibbs Racing, right? Joe Gibbs they just came out an announcement. I just was reading some stuff that they talked about Bass Pro Shops cutting back some on Joe Gibbs with Martin Truex. So where now where do we sit now, right? So I think he's got to land either. I could see Wood Brothers. Then it brings in the situation of, if all this moving pieces are happening, right? Like, how are we going to fill all these, right? We know Trackhouse is filled, so that charter, no matter what, is gone. So someone is going to be dumped essentially to go way down. Look at, Front Row Motorsports is going to buy a charter, right? So we know there's going to be 2 spots there. So Todd Gilliland's going to stay. We know we have probably Josh Berry moving there. And I can see Noah Gregson going there, right? Mm-hmm. So there's, that could be filled. Sounds like Briscoe's going to
Wood Brothers.
Mm-hmm. They've sucked. He's getting downgraded. That's a downgrade.
They've sucked because of Harrison Burton.
Yes.
I fully believe that. But I think the other thing is, too, like if this was if we're doing blind resumes, it's the other Penske team that should be looking at him that's driving the number 2 car and saying, hey, I know Daddy's in the front office.
Right?
So, I mean.
I agree. He's got to – but like they've said, you got a Daytona 500 to win, you're marketable. You're going to always be known as a Daytona 500 champion. And I think that's the only reason Ricky Stenhouse got another shot. They said JTG was looking for another charter, which is kind of shocking to me because they just talked about they're losing Kroger and some other stuff, and now they've done this, and now they want another charter. This is by far one of the craziest. I didn't think it could get any crazier than last year and some of these other years, but it is crazy because all that news broke up about Spire when we were at Talladega last year. And then all some moving pieces.
Yeah, we sit there and listen to freaking the press conference of Kyle Busch Motorsports getting sold.
And then we're sitting there like, oh my God, this can't get crazier. And now you look at it and you're like, this really, really, really can't get crazier. I mean, you got so many moving pieces. You got, there's going to be 3 people that get booted out. There is going to be no Xfinity people coming up. I mean, there's no room, right? There's going to be more people going from there back down to whatever,
Yeah. I think if we looked at this from an objective standpoint, and if we looked at NASCAR as a way of this talent is more deserving, this wouldn't be as hard. But we have to put the ellipses with an Austin Dillon, with an Austin Cindric. We have to do these type of things. Harrison Burton. Yeah, and it's like. I don't think you talk about that a lot. The only thing you might ever say is like if Bronny James goes in the first round of the NBA. Outside of that, we don't talk about this in other sports the way that we have to talk about it in motorsports. Same thing at Haas Racing whenever they had the Russian investor, and then they end up having Nikita Mazepin. It's not Mazepin. It's Mazepin, but it's the same thing. He got to put in an F1 ride because his dad funded the team.
I think it's going to be here in about July. We're going to find out stuff. I think June is going to pass a lot under the radar. There's going to be a lot of talking about the 4 charters, right? There's always going to be moving pieces. I think we won't know something for some of this stuff until like July, right?
Is that because you think the charter deal is done by then?
I don't think that. I think that's another thing. Like, why if the charter deal's not done? Why Denny Hamlin makes the most sense? He goes, why would I want to go buy a charter if I know that in a year that my $30 million is going to be worth nothing, right? So
but at the same time, we also don't know where to put these guys because they don't know if they only get 3 teams now moving forward. Like, because that changes everything too.
I look at. I think Trackhouse is set. I think Trackhouse is going to just have Zane Smith plop in there, right? I think Colleague is going to move Shane SVG full-time into the 16 car. I know we're getting a little off topic here, but I'm just trying to think of like where like some of these people get placed at. And I think Harrison Burton's going to get the boot. The only thing he's got worth anything is he's got a couple sponsorships, right? If you slide Briscoe into Wood Brothers, his tractor company gets
Mahindra.
Yeah, he has an 18 race sponsorship, and guess who else has 18 race sponsorship? That Ford Motor Club or whatever that is. The one that's been on there for the last 40 years with them.
For 21 Motorcraft?
Motorcraft, right?
Yeah.
So he slides right in there, and they don't have to do anything extra, right? You look at RCR. If they, his grandpa's going to think he's the best race car driver ever, but I think you're just hurting yourself by keeping Austin Dillon in there. Move him back to where he's actually decent at Xfinity, or like you said, put him in the front office. Put him back on his TV show.
Travis, I'm to the point that I'm not sure that Austin Dillon is not better than Ty. I think Ty Dillon might actually be the one that has some talent.
So this
compared
is
to
to say
Austin.
this about like 5 or 6 years ago. Someone said Ty Dillon's got more talent than Austin Dillon. I'm like, shut your mouth. Like, no, they're not even close. Like, at least Austin Dillon can go back to Xfinity and win. And then you look at some of the stuff, and you're like, I just think the Dillons have zero talent, and they've always just had grandpa's money to build all these unlimited resources to go, and where all they got to do is do this and floor it, and they're done. So
yeah, I don't know, man. This is going to be one of the weirdest. I didn't think it could get weirder when Kyle Busch out of nowhere became a free agent, but this year it's going to be one of those years, Travis, whenever we look and go, I need a little bit of a refresher course on who went where, who's with who's not with who got screwed, who deserves to be there. That's not like, it used to be silly season was, man, I can't believe Matt DiBenedetto don't have a ride. Yep. And this year we're going to be like, bro, there's some serious people that don't have rides. We're going to have to rethink their careers.
There is going to be 10 moving chairs, right? You have McDowell, you have Harrison Burton, you have Briscoe, you have Barry, you have Priest, you have
Gregson.
Briscoe.
No, you said Briscoe. Gregson is the other one.
Well, Gregson, you have who else do we talk? We're talking about Zane Smith, which we know
possibly Shane Van Gisbergen.
Yeah, then you got this, and then you got Daniel Hemrick. I mean, who? Why is he even in there? There's a reason he got left at RCR, right? You look at there's like 10 rides right there that's going to be open or moving pieces or drivers are like. Then you got to think about Cole Custer. Front Row Motorsports already talked about putting Cole Custer in the replacement. Now you did this, right?
Yeah.
Then you look at, you could have a deal where they say, hey, we'll sell you this charter for this price if you put Cole Custer in the car, right?
There's still a possibility that Martin Truex retires. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff.
I think Martin Truex retires, if we're going to be honest with you. I don't see him coming back. I don't think he wants a farewell tour. And, if those rumors are true about Bass Pro Shops, he's going to retire.
Yeah.
So
this could be a 1 hour.
Crazy.
Yeah. I think we have to get the charter deal done. I think it'll probably be like one of this. It'll be the worst kept secret that the charter deal is there to be accepted, but we won't get the legalities and the formality of it until 2 weeks later.
Yep.
Kind of like with this deal. But once that news is there that both parties have come to an agreement verbally, then I think the wheels really, really start spinning. And you're going to see a lot of guys driving for teams that they will not be driving for, probably more so than at least in recent memory. And, and I think that's going to be very, very interesting. But I'm for this channel, I'm glad we have something to talk about. But, I think there's definitely some guys that deserve to continue their careers in the Cup Series. And there's going to be some hurt feelings, man. And, this is a situation to where I just don't remember. I mean, if you think about it, outside of like front row, or not front row, but oh my God, Denver Mattress. Furniture Row, yes. Outside of them winning a championship and dipping, but that was just a one-car team. This is the most recognizable thing that we have seen in recent memory with a full group of 4 to saying we're out.
Yep, I know. Crazy.
So, but yeah, that's going to do it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. We're going to have more news tomorrow. I guarantee it. I have a feeling that Austin Hill, if he's not fine, he could have a one-sitter quitter.
Hendrick Motorsports has not filed for an
appeal
yet either.
So they will have to do that. All kinds of stuff. We go to WWT this weekend. We'll preview that. We'll make our picks, all that and more. So appreciate you guys joining us. 25 people left to get to 1,000 subs. appreciate if you want to go ahead and click that subscribe button. We provide all kinds of news, shorts, iRacing, all that you can imagine here on Stuck at the Catch Fence. So for the previous Joe Spillman, Travis Butt, my name is Ryan Peters. Thanks for tuning in. Have a good evening.